So hello and welcome. You're joining me on the Erica Glessing Show, where you receive 8 minutes of daily inspiration for lightworkers and entrepreneurs. And my next guest, I absolutely am in love with her job title. It is Facilitator of Fantasticness. How fun is that? We are joined today by Diane Lanthier, and the show is in Canada, I guess. What part of Canada are you in, Diane?
I'm in the Ottawa area, which is the nation's capital.
Oh, okay. Is that closer to Toronto or Vancouver?
It's east of Toronto, so
Okay,
yeah,
so
I'm
cold.
closer. Yeah, yeah.
Chilly. It's chilly than
Yes, it
winter.
is.
So I'm really glad you could come. Tell me a little bit about the soul restoration. What does that even mean? I'm not even I haven't heard that term that much. I mean, I kind of get it intuitively, like it would restore my soul, which sounds good, but maybe just give us a little bit more what that is and how that came about.
Yeah, I mean, well, I won't go into all of how it came about because it was just a sort of an awareness, an intuitive hit after I saw something, and kind of started with soul renovations, and then there was something not right with that. And anyway, it kind of morphed into soul restoration. But I mean, when I say this is all in the span of a day or two that it kind of got created.
Uh-huh.
But for me, soul restoration is really the idea that your um, I mean, your soul, your energy it doesn't need to be fixed, right? It's just that we stray away from those truths, and we get muddled and mired in the crap of living human lives, those
Right. All the
negative stuff.
pressures. Yeah.
Yeah, those projections
Yeah.
and all of the, just the negativity and the stuff that we make really real, and that we give more power to than the natural state of our being, I would say. And so I've always said, if it's not part of who you are as an energy, as a soul, if it's not your soul stuff or your energetic place or state of being, I guess, it can be released with whatever tools you want to use. So soul restoration for me is just about getting back to that space of who you be as an energy being.
Mm. So when you're in this process of transformation, which, I guess your whole life is a lot of transformation, but when you run into a big sticky place, like let's just say, for instance, for the fun of it, you're running into a stickiness around money. What do you recommend that people do to shift out of being in kind of a thing that's, it seems like some people, either it's their body or it's their housing, or it's money, or it's their career. People have different things that stick them. What do you
Yeah,
recommend for kind of shifting some energy around that?
awareness, like I use different tools. I use, in the past, I've used EFT, emotional freedom techniques. I've used tools from Access Consciousness. I use my own sort of energy to clear stuff. Uh, So it's really, I find it's having the awareness is the biggest thing. Once you have the awareness, you can just say, okay, I'm not going to function from that anymore. You can literally
Mm.
just go into your own energy field and just clear it with intention. A lot of the tools that we use they're just tools that we've decided we need, in order to do that clearing, that you really actually can just say, okay, I'm done with that. So the key really is having the awareness and not making yourself wrong for having the stickiness or whatever it is, whatever point of view that you're having about money, about your body, about whatever, then not go into the wrongness of that or to the
Mm.
wrongness of you for having that, because that's the sticky stuff, is when you
Right.
go into shame and how wrong you are about it, right? So
Totally.
you have the awareness that you are functioning from a specific place or space, then you just acknowledge it without going into wrongness, and then just say, okay, well, I don't want that anymore. I don't need that anymore. I'm not gonna function from that anymore. But yeah, so having the awareness and knowing that it is something that you can shift. So many people feel like they're stuck in this sticky, instead of just like, hey, I'm this, magical mofo, to use the title of my internet radio show. I'm just a magical mofo who can just change anything.
Yeah, anything. I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love this topic as we're going to the close of this year and heading into a brand new year. It seems to me I always do some kinds of rituals to let go of some stuff and invite new things. Is there anything that you recommend that our listeners could do as they're heading out, saying adieu to the year and inviting in a brand new year?
I have to say I am not a ritual person. I am not into rituals. I just, I think, I'm not saying they're bad. It's just not something that I'm into. And I just think it's so important to always be on top of your awareness, your self-knowledge, and to know that you can shift and change things for every moment without needing ritual. So ritual is nice, but you don't need it. And I think sometimes people end up getting caught up in, I need that, I
Right.
need to
Or they
do, I
can, the
need,
other thing, as soon as you said that, I saw it as like another way that people would use to, possibly judge yourself. So I could see you're
yeah,
hitting January going, oh my goodness, I wanted to do this and that and this and that, but, I could see where it could be used against you. But I personally I do a 1-year prophecy letter to myself, and I date it at the end of 2000 next.
oh, cool.
Yeah,
That's,
and I
but
just write some crazy stuff that shows up, like, I write fun stuff as though it had already happened. I call it a 1-year prophecy letter, so that's something that I do.
yeah, just like law
Yeah,
of attraction stuff, right?
yeah, exactly. It's um, just writing things down. Hmm. In connection with kind of giving, well, I kind of think a lot of things are pre-paved, so that if we don't have awareness and we don't try to change things, then they'll roll out pretty much pre-paved sometimes. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just another tool to help a person transform, maybe, huh?
And I think what's important when people are using law of attraction tools is, one of the things that I've said for a really long time is if you don't have what you think you want, it's because there's a part of you that doesn't want it. And same if you have something you don't want, there's a part of you that wants it, right? So again, in not judging ourselves and not making ourselves wrong, it's really important to be aware of where we're functioning from and those points of views that we're carrying, so that if there's something that you're asking for, like
Mm.
with a prophecy letter or a vision board or anything like that, like, vision boards are great, but if you just throw something up there and hope it happens, you might still not be in alignment with any of the things that you think you desire, right? So
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
important.
I've used those tools differently. So if I do, I've only done a few vision boards, but essentially I hold the energy and then I ask when I'm making choices, is this part of that, right?
Right,
And then I'm
exactly.
always changing them because I'm always changing the outcomes I desire.
Right. And so you're staying in awareness the whole time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
And
in
in fact,
alignment with what you,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. And then I
Yeah.
just ask questions so that my actions um, can get me there, but
Yeah.
the other thing that I write is sometimes you don't think big enough because you're not used to it maybe, and I let people, I do believe in dreaming big and then taking action, then it's in alignment with your dream, even if it's a little action.
Yeah. And what just hit me when you said that was how if in this lifetime you're not used to, I kind of, I get what you're saying, and I've had the same awareness that, well, and I don't know if it's an awareness or just like a sabotaging thought that I need to have had the experience of that, sort of bigness or phenomenal success in order to reproduce it. I don't know if that's true or not, but even if it were, we've had like how many lifetimes, and there's got to be some in there where you've had that phenomenal success that you can tap into and
Yeah.
draw that, you know what I mean?
I was a queen 18 million years ago.
There you go. You only need to have had it in one moment to tap into that and bring in that energy of what that is, right?
Before we go, I would like you to share with me, if you're open to sharing with me a little bit about the book that you wrote. I know it was some years ago, but I love having authors on the show, and as you know, you're an author. So why don't you just share with us the name of your book and a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. It's called On Loneliness, Angelic Messages to Comfort and Inspire, and it is a book that I channeled uh, about 12 years ago. It took me about a year. I used to do it on my my lunch breaks, and I would
Nice.
just channel these bits and pieces. They're angelic messages, and because back then I did mostly angel readings, and just put it together, and it created this beautiful book that
Oh,
has sold around the world. I have hard copies. I sell it on Amazon, and
love
also
it.
it's a book that people can pick up. This not my intention. My intention was to create a book that can be read from front to back,
Uh-huh.
but it people will pick it up like a tarot deck or an oracle card deck and just flip it open and get the message that they require that day. And so it works really well that way because
Oh,
it's all of
awesome.
these sort of short messages that you can
I
just
love
read
it.
one message if you want to.
Well, let's can we put a link to that in the show description for the
Absolutely.
interview?
Yeah, absolutely. There's also a
Yeah.
page on my website about the
Okay,
book.
cool.
Yeah.
Let's share that with the audience. And thank you so much for coming, Don.
Thanks
I
for
mean,
having me,
Diane
Diane.
Lanthier. Diane
Yes.
Lanthier. I had to write down Diane's name because it's spelled a little differently than it looks like on the so I had to practice. So thank you for bearing with that, everybody in the audience. And Diane, why don't you share your domain and how people can reach you?
Yeah, absolutely. My website is www.soulrestoration.ca. I have a Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Diane Lanthier 111. And I have a radio show that I co-host on achieveradio.com. And we have a YouTube channel for that, because we do a video show on which we do energy clearings, and that's called
Awesome.
Magical Mofos. Yeah.
I love it. Thank you for coming. Have a great day.
Thanks, Erica.